Have you been unknowingly sabotaging your skin, your energy, even your immune system, just by using your fridge the wrong way? It sounds crazy, but 9 everyday foods you might refrigerate are silently draining the nutrients your body and your skin desperately needs to stay youthful. In this video, I'll uncover not just the what, but the why, with science-backed facts, real-life examples, and small fixes that lead to big change. Stick with me till the end. It may just transform how you store food and age. 1. Potatoes. Potatoes are often misunderstood. They get a bad rap for being starchy or weight-inducing, but when prepared and stored properly, they offer vitamin C, potassium, and resistant starch that helps regulate blood sugar. A major win for aging skin and gut health. But here's where things go wrong. When raw potatoes are stored in the fridge, their starch content rapidly converts into sugar. This may seem harmless until you cook them at high temperatures. Think roasting or frying. Those sugars interact with amino acids to form acrylamide, a chemical compound under scrutiny for its potential carcinogenic effects. But beyond that risk, let's talk texture and flavor. Ever bitten into a home-fried potato that tasted overly sweet or turned oddly mushy? That's the refrigeration effect. The cold breaks down the integrity of the tuber, affecting not only its nutritional profile, but also its ability to cook evenly. Patient story. One of my long-term patients, Linda, age 67, loved making homemade oven fries, but she always kept the potatoes in the fridge to make them last longer. She complained of inconsistent texture and dark streaks. We changed one small thing. She started storing them in a paper bag in a pantry. And within weeks, her meals tasted better, and she wasn't overcooking them to hide discoloration. Bonus? She began feeling less bloated. My tip: keep potatoes in a cool, dark, dry area like a lower cabinet. Avoid plastic bags. Use mesh or burlap. Your digestive system and your skin will thank you. 2. Bread. Let's debunk a myth. Refrigeration does not keep bread fresh. It actually speeds up the staling process. This happens through a process called retrogradation. Starch molecules realign, forcing moisture out of the bread structure and leaving you with dry, crumbly slices. This matters more than you think. As women age, digestive enzymes decline. Dry bread is harder to digest, requiring more stomach acid and effort. It also triggers more bloating and discomfort, particularly in those with even mild gluten sensitivity. More concerning, bread stored in the fridge often gathers moisture inside its packaging. This creates a perfect environment for mold spores. For those of us over 60, exposure to foodborne mold, even in small amounts, can trigger inflammatory responses. In some cases, it can worsen asthma or lead to histamine intolerance, both of which are common in older women. Example: a client of mine, Marcia, 71, kept her multi-grain bread in the fridge to save trips to the store, but she frequently had morning bloating and brain fog. After switching to freezing sliced bread and only defrosting what she needed, her symptoms improved within 2 weeks. Better practice: if you eat bread within 3 to 4 days, store in a bread box or a sealed cloth bag at room temperature. Want longer shelf life? Slice and freeze. Toast directly from frozen. It saves nutrients and prevents waste. Remember, dry bread doesn't just affect texture. It can interfere with your microbiome and skin hydration. 2. 3. Onions. Onions are the unsung hero of anti-aging diets. Rich in quercetin, a flavonoid that reduces inflammation, they support immune function, and even offer mild antihistamine effects. But when stored incorrectly, they lose much of this power and may turn harmful. Whole onions thrive in cool, dry, well-ventilated spaces. Once they hit the fridge, the humidity compromises their protective skins. Moisture seeps in, triggering decay from the inside out. Mold develops faster, and the sulfuric compounds that give onions their bite begin to spread to surrounding foods, especially dairy and fruit. Even more alarming, cut onions stored loosely in the fridge become a breeding ground for bacteria. Some people fear they absorb toxins, which isn't exactly accurate, but they definitely collect moisture and microbes if not sealed well. Real-life tip: I keep my whole onions in a hanging mesh basket in my kitchen. It's how my grandmother did it, and her onions lasted weeks. For cut onions, I recommend wrapping them in paper towels before sealing in a glass container. Reduces excess moisture and keeps odors at bay. Why it matters. Inflammation is a major contributor to visible aging. You don't want to lose out on quercetin just because your onion got soggy. For tomatoes are a skin-loving superfruit, brimming with lycopene, vitamin C, and water content that plumps cells and protects against sun damage. But the moment you put them in the fridge, that magic begins to fade. Chilling unripe tomatoes disrupts the enzyme activity responsible for ripening and flavor development. The result? Watery, mealy, and flavorless slices. More importantly, the drop in temperature degrades vitamin C and antioxidant levels, robbing your skin of one of its most vital protectors. Patient example, Ruth, age 64, swore by her daily tomato salad, but she always stored tomatoes in the crisper drawer to keep them firm. When she switched to room temperature storage and chose ripe, in-season varieties, not only did her salads improve, she said her complexion seemed brighter, especially in summer. Also, chilled tomatoes develop wrinkled skin faster, an ironic visual metaphor for what might be happening to your skin when antioxidant-rich foods are mishandled. Best practice. Store tomatoes stem side down in a bowl away from sunlight. Let them ripen naturally. Use overripe ones in sauces or soups. Never let them go to waste. 5. Garlic. Garlic is nature's pharmacy. It's been shown to lower blood pressure, support immune health, and combat chronic inflammation. All keys to aging well. But throw a bulb of garlic into the fridge, and you short-circuit its benefits. Refrigeration causes garlic to sprout early. This alters its texture, flavor, and nutritional potency. The result? Bitter cloves with rubbery skin and reduced levels of allicin, the active compound responsible for garlic's health effects. Danger alert. Chopped garlic in oil, store in the fridge, create a rare but potentially fatal risk. Botulism. While it's rare, older adults are more susceptible to the neurotoxins this bacteria produces. Cultural example. In Mediterranean households, where rates of age-related diseases are lower, garlic is kept in open air, woven into braids, or stored in mesh bags. There's ancient wisdom here. Safe storage. Keep garlic dry, ventilated, and room temp. Once chopped, use within 24 to 48 hours, and consider mixing with vinegar or lemon juice for safety and flavor enhancement. 6. Coffee. Coffee isn't just about caffeine. It contains powerful antioxidants, including chlorogenic acid, that support heart and brain health. But when coffee is exposed to moisture, light, and temperature fluctuations, like those in the fridge, it loses potency. Coffee is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs surrounding moisture and odors. That's why your brew might taste like last night's salmon or pickles if stored in the fridge. Even worse, condensation inside containers leads to mold growth and stale flavors. Example, Barbara, 68, was puzzled by her coffee's sudden bitterness. We discovered she kept ground beans in a plastic tub in the fridge. After switching to a dark glass airtight jar in the pantry, her morning brew became smoother, and she reported fewer post-coffee headaches. Store like this. Keep beans whole if possible. Grind only what you need, and store them in a dark cupboard in a sealed container. Skip the fridge, always. 7. Honey. Honey is self-preserving. It's antimicrobial, antifungal, and full of antioxidants. And yet, one of the most common mistakes people make, especially older adults looking to extend shelf life, is storing it in the fridge. Cold temperatures cause crystallization, making honey thick, grainy, and difficult to spread. Worse, repeated refrigeration leads to moisture intrusion, which disrupts its stable sugar balance and invites fermentation. That sour smell or foam on your honey. It's a warning. Health note. Fermented honey is no longer safe for consumption, especially for individuals with sensitive guts or compromised immunity. Personal example. My aunt, 79, used honey daily for her morning tea. She began noticing a strange aftertaste. Turns out, her fridge-store honey was repeatedly exposed to condensation. We swapped it for a cabinet-store glass jar. Problem solved. Keep it safe. Store honey at room temperature in a sealed glass jar away from sunlight. If crystallized, Place in warm water, not boiling. To reliquify. 8. Bananas. Bananas are a go-to for potassium, energy, and easy digestion. But refrigerate them, and you may as well say goodbye to those benefits. Bananas, as tropical fruits, rely on warmth to activate enzymes that ripen them and convert starch into sugar. When chilled too early, ripening halts. The skin turns black. The inside becomes mushy or metallic in flavor, and antioxidants degrade, especially dopamine, which supports brain health and mood stability in older women. Example: Julia, age 65, kept bananas in the fridge to avoid over-ripening. She hated the dark skin, thought they were spoiled, and threw them out early, after learning to keep them on a hanging hook at room temp. She stopped wasting them and began freezing overripe ones for smoothies. Recommendation: let bananas ripen naturally. To delay over-ripening, separate them from apples or ethylene-producing fruits. For excess ripe bananas, peel and freeze for later use. 9. Olive oil. Olive oil is foundational to any age-supportive diet. Rich in oleic acid and polyphenol, it fights inflammation, protects the heart, and nourishes the skin. But cold storage is its silent destroyer. When olive oil is chilled, it solidifies. Over time, repeated warming and cooling destabilizes its molecular structure. Oxidation kicks in, producing free radicals, the very compounds we're trying to avoid when we consume olive oil in the first place. Impact: free radicals contribute to cellular aging, collagen breakdown, and joint inflammation, issues we all want to avoid as we get older. Taste loss is real too. Refrigerated olive oil loses its fruity, peppery flavor profile. It becomes flat, greasy, and harder to pour. You're not just losing nutrition. You're losing the joy of eating. Storage tip: keep olive oil in a dark glass or stainless steel container, in a cool cabinet away from heat sources. Never store on the counter near the stove or in sunlight. As a medical researcher, I've spent decades helping people add years to their lives, but more importantly, life to their years. And if there's one lesson that echoes through every study, every consultation, it's this: your smallest habits build your biggest outcomes. You don't need a new diet, a new doctor, or a new miracle serum to start feeling better. Sometimes it begins with taking your tomatoes out of the fridge, or finally storing your garlic the way your grandmother did. These micro decisions may seem trivial, but they protect the enzymes, antioxidants, and compounds that keep your skin firm, your energy steady, and your immune system sharp. As we grow older, our bodies don't just need nutrients, they need them to work. But when food is stored incorrectly, its power fades before we even take a bite. So here's your takeaway: health doesn't just live in the medicine cabinet. It lives in your pantry. It lives in how you respect what nature gives you and how gently you treat it. Start small. Choose one food from today's list. Make the change. Then notice the difference, not just in taste, but in how you feel. Because caring for your food is a form of caring for yourself.